Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer Los Angeles, California, to be specific. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Monday, August the 4th, 2025. And this here is the TNAM Daily Show. What does TNAM stand for? TNAM. What does TNAM mean? Means this: the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. You can have a fancy overhead budget. Yep. You can have some slick actors and actresses. You can have great lighting. You can have location and a finely crafted narrative. Broadcasting, casting to you a version of things that you're supposed to believe. Okay. Well, I just put my track record up there and I ask of you, where have I been where I haven't been trying to aim toward a better situation? That's what we do at the New American Media. It's why 14 years ago, I created the New American Media. I got tired of the lies, the propaganda. I got tired of narratives that weren't accurate. If you weren't on the team of the lying legacy media, people used to call them the mainstream media, but they haven't earned that name, so they don't get called mainstream media. But yeah, you're here because you know that as we unpack the news and we look at the stories, I'm at least aiming at accuracy. I'm trying. So thank you for joining us today. On today's program, we're going to ask if America should be more or less like Texas. Should America be more or less like California? We're at a bit of a crossroads, hypothetically, realistically. Some blend of a little, yeah, kind of, sort of, but not really, but yes, but no, but we kind of unpacking what that means if Texas gerrymanders their districts and there's a certain loudmouth who might be out of a job, but wouldn't that be interesting? And then it just kind of makes you wonder about the concept of gerrymandering to begin with. And how do you determine? Or is this where you could offer the opportunity up for AI to create a better, what would be the ideal district breakdown? Very interested what AI would have to say on that. We think of AI now as if it's an entity, something that is a pulse. It's a person, or it's a force. It feels that way. Not really. It's not much different than going, oh, let me click on this political pundit. Let me see what they're thinking about it. AI is just another pundit. I mean, it was built with certain guidelines and historical context, and what are they? Illusions. What do they call them? Not hypnosis. Well, what is illusions? What word am I seeking? Scott Adams says it all the time about it. There we go. Hallucinating. I was close. I was like, hallucinating. Illusion? Where's that word? Yeah. So it's just like checking in with somebody else. But I wonder what a better way to gerrymander a district would be. And if you recall, all the bellwether districts from last election cycle, that 2020 election cycle, remember how they were all Trump? And like when that happens, that means it's a sweep. And then something was really weird about this one. I think the history books are going to look kindly upon the people like us who never believed 2020 was, fully above board and on with their accuracy. At the bottom of the screen here for countervailing views on health and elections, because we're going to talk about vaccines today. You know, these are topics we're not allowed to talk about on social media, you know, lest they take your funding away, remove your monetization efforts. And it's like, well, I'm in the marketplace of ideas, broadcasting, just like anybody else. I have every right to collect ad revenue. Yeah, well, all the companies that spend money want to spend their money on authoritative sources. So, yeah. So they took all of the advertising dollars and said, all right, well, Coke and Pepsi and Ford and Chevy and, you know, just the regular Domino's, Pizza Hut, whoever. Okay, your ad budget, we're going to put it all into NBC Universal. We're going to put it all into CNN, ABC, ESPN, Disney. You get all of that. And then individual content creators. Not only are you going to have nothing left, we'll remove your monetization. And so, yeah, it's been a long, strange journey trying to be Paul Revere warning of the things that we were right about. So go back and check out our record. Check out who we are at the New American Media. 14 years of content. And we encourage you to sign up in all the places. All right, let's jump into today's show and talk about all the things. Let's go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
All right. Thanks for being here. How was your weekend, everybody? Question of the day. How was your weekend? I'd love to know. Let's see. Where are the comments? Lake Leon, what's up? We'll get the comments up on the screen in just a moment here. Yes. All right. Let's see. Texas is going downhill with rhinos. So what are the big races? Who needs to be replaced and who actually has a chance to do it? When's your next chance to swap out lousy Texas with better Texas? I mean, every place is sort of essentially, you know, you're only as good as your latest batch of talent. Ronald Reagan had that comment. He said, liberty it's not in our bloodstream, passed down from generation to generation. It must be fought for with each new group. You know, it's not a birthright. I mean, every place is. There we go. Now we're up on Facebook. Are you following the New American Media on Facebook? We have a page. We have a lot of different groups. TNAM's the Agree to Disagree show. Let's see. I will just share this out. Telling them we are live. Yeah, TNAM Music, TNAM Humor, all sorts of different groups. You should link up with us on the Facebook. All right. Perfect. Texas going downhill with rhinos. Yeah. All of them are bad. Paxton is the only MAGA we got. Oh, goodness. Well, it's going to get interesting. What's the general feeling? General feeling? What is going to happen with the redistricting? How is that going to play out? Jasmine Crockett would be out of a seat, right? Jasmine Crockett, the loudmouth from Texas. Oh, is she a piece of work? You know, and she is sort of emblematic of the Obama era. This is a residual. The AOC, Jasmine Crockett, the squad. This is the legacy of Barack Obama, everybody. But yeah, she would be out of a seat if they redistricted. And then California said, well, hold on a second. You're going to gerrymander, you're going to redraw your districts. Well, guess what? I think we're going to do the same. And we're going to make it so no Republicans can win in our place. So now we got this back and forth going on. And it's one of the main stories of the day. Because now the question is, should Governor Abbott fire the people? Replace them? Dereliction of duty. Failure to report. You know, you got to come to a vote. You're not going to block it by not participating. All right, you're not going to vote, then you're out. We're gonna remove you. How about that for a massive backfire? Or is it not going to happen? We're kind of following all of these things. In a way, everything is a game of chicken. Who's going to blink first, right? Who's going to blink first? By the way, it's a new week and it's a new look and it's a new energy. It's new everything. It is everything. Thank you all for being here. All right, let's throw the comments up on the screen and start rolling through our stories. Well, this is a good one. Here we go. It's all battleground Texas, isn't it? Let's share. Hey, Jamie, can you pull up? Oh, thanks, Jamie. There's no Jamie. I'm Jamie. I am Godin.
And the Muslims are both going to Texas.
He said the left and the Muslims are both going to Texas.
Because if you can change the voting patterns of Texas and turn Texas blue, that's the end of America.
Yes.
You know, that's it. There's no more Republican Party ever from that point.
Ever.
You know, they've already got California. Texas has got the next biggest number of electoral college votes. The left are putting billions of dollars into Texas. The Muslims are flooding into Texas. That is exactly as Robert says. It's a stab at the heartland of America, but it's also taking the electoral college map into full account.
I would also say that, you know,
so we're trying to understand what agenda was behind opening your borders and just letting any amount of anybody from anywhere go any place for any purpose, unrestricted. No, however things shook out, however things settled out, that is now being addressed. Oh yeah, we're now going to have a serious conversation about what happened and what happens next.
you know, when you talk about mosques springing up, this is, especially in a place like Texas, which is rather big on football, baseball, sports of all kinds. You know, the old adage, if you build it, they will come. So this infrastructure is being set up not to serve an existing population in a place like Texas, but a coming population. And already in some places, it's pretty large, Dallas, Houston especially. But it's scheduled to go. And, you know, their birth rates typically are higher than the non-Muslim populations. And so it goes back to the point that both of these guys have made, that translates at some place in the trajectory into electoral dominance. And what we're just seeing, to remind you, I think there are two Muslim representatives in the Texas state legislature at the moment, the House. And these guys have churned out, as I think, dozens of bills or resolutions, at least, that were blithely adopted by the state legislature in its session that ended at the end of May, I think. And most of the guys who were voting on these things had no idea what was in them, let alone that the object is not narrowly to honor Ramadan, which was one of them. It's to assert the dominance of Muslims in a way that, there is no honoring of, the feast of some Hindu god or, Zoroastrians or others.
It's about dominance.
It's all purposeful.
The left.
It's all purposeful, and that's the point. Look no further than all across the UK. The reason why it's not that in America yet, well, President Trump got in the way twice. That threw a wrench in the plan. America's bigger. That's a part of it. But we get to determine the culture and the society that we want. In America, there's a Bill of Rights. Individual freedoms from oppression. Yeah, and someone once said, don't say I'm sorry. If you don't mean you're sorry, don't lead with I'm sorry. Try to be careful with your words, and I've been inarticulate before, and I'll be inarticulate again, but, I think a man is due his opportunity to revise an opinion. To reflect and think. Is that exactly how I'd like to say that again? But yeah, this was a global plan to invade sovereign nations with non-citizens to permanently change the voting bloc. Like, that was a plan by all the people involved, and you have to undo that plan. That is a coordinated, financed effort to permanently alter the fabric of society. Do you want rights and liberties for people, or do you want something oppressive like the Sharia law that some people say should dominate society? Look across the UK. Look across. Look across to Great Britain and see what's going on. We're in the middle of a very important time. So keep your eyes peeled. Texas is the battleground. Breitbart here says, FBI Director Kash Patel challenged news media to own who is really lying about his discovery of a stash of classified documents connected to the Trump-Russia collusion narrative weaponized against Donald Trump in his first term. The director's comments came in the wake of recent reports that burn bags filled with thousands of documents dating back to the Trump-Russia probe were discovered in a room in FBI headquarters. We'll see what happens with that, huh? All right, here's a 2-panel meme. 300 Guns is the account on Instagram. They have many funny memes. I have seen funny memes. All right, on the top, the Sydney Sweeney jeans commercial exposed racism by revealing who hates white people. I would say that is part of it. That's sure. That's part of it. That's a stack. If it's a bar graph, all right, that's a stack. It's hard to imagine taking something seriously enough to come up with an opinion to say That was a bad advertising campaign. The product is called jeans. She has good genes because she's hot. Like, no, they're just doing it because, like, Aryans say, like, we're the master race. We only have, like, great genes, and, like, it's hereditary, and it's, like, their thing. Okay, number one, it can be their thing to have their genes. Number two, that's not what's going on here. That's not what any of it's about. All right. I guess I might have to come out with an unpopular opinion on Sydney Sweeney. No, I don't have to. No, she's wonderful. There's something about her that that I no, it's not those assets that you know that are maybe shown off in the jeans commercial to sell jeans. Like something about her appearance, I just kind of fixate on something different. I don't know. But yeah, it has been a really strange anti-white narrative for the past 10, 20 years. I talk about the Obama doctrine all the time, and as a community organizer or agitator, community agitator, it's just, oh, and I have a sports story. I think I'm coming up to it. I'm going to scroll through and find it. But, you know, when Obama was elected, I said, I didn't vote for the guy. I said, but if there's some sort of opportunity that this nation can benefit from, some sort of healing from things that happen to people who are not alive, by people who are not alive, and just kind of like, hey, look where we're at now. Look at, you know, content of your character, not the color of your skin. That's cool. Kind of half white, half black guy. If that can cause some unity in the country, I'm here for it. Like I thought that was exciting. And then I was very disappointed to get to know who Barack Obama was very disappointed. The most divisive. Oh, he's not more divisive than Trump. Trump is divisive against, usually for good reason. Yeah, there's a ton of public spats, and when you say 100 things a day, of course you might overtalk a little bit. Trust me, who else knows that than someone that does hours of broadcasting every single day? You just talk. It's stream of consciousness. You don't always get to fully develop you don't get 7 proofreaders to really make sure your cue cards are going to punch. Yeah, the Marxist plan with the Obama doctrine to push division and racial division and religious division and sexual division and kink division, just everything that could be divided. Obama was the divider in chief. Huh. Let me see if I could do this. All right. I just had an idea. Design me an image. Hold on. What do they call them? All right. Hold on. I hope this is going to be worth it. All right, here we go. I'll have to. I think it's worth it. Oh, okay. I really hope this is going to be worth it. Where's the here, I'm just going to share it with you as we create this together. I'm asking AI to make me a character like the Joker, or like the Riddler. So, like how the Riddler has the question mark. Make Obama's costume the divide symbol. And then this will be the divider in chief. This is a long way to get to my little joke, but we're doing it in real time, people. We're doing it in real time. I'm okay. There's the divided sign. Let's do another. This time with more division symbols on his suit, and make it Sin City styled. If you haven't played around with Grok, you're missing out. ChatGPT or whatnot. You sort of think things into existence. Oh, that's okay. But what's he holding? Why does he keep holding that symbol? What is that symbol? Again in Superman style, where Obama is the bad guy. Yeah, we're doing this in real time, folks. But yeah, Obama is the divider in chief. That's the whole point of what we're getting at with these images here. He had a unique opportunity to really bring our country together, but that's not who he is. He's no, not as Superman, as a villain. I said as the villain fighting Superman. Jeez. I think I was I think I was pretty clear. No. All right. Oh, the guy on the right. No. You know, look, I like the concept of AI. Grok is just very weird. All right, Joey Manarino has a thought. He says 22% of all Somalians living in Scotland are currently in jail for some type of offense. This is what he means when he talks about cultural compatibility and migration. If 22% of the people from a certain country end up in jail in their new country, maybe we shouldn't have migration from that country anymore without some type of compatibility test. I mean, there should be a whole set of parameters if you're going to come into America. Hard to fathom why it would be a good idea to let anybody inside you. I don't think any dad has given his daughter that advice. Sorry, was that a little too far? But it's the same concept. Anybody you wouldn't lay down with, why are you letting them in your country? No, I don't mean physical. I mean, like, are they a decent human being? If you can't say yes to that, then you don't need to be here. Sorry, said sorry right there. But I'm not going to pull punches on that. All right, speaking of pulling punches, these two had to pull their weapons. Danielle D'Souza Gill says the McCloskeys, who defended their home with firearms during a 2020 BLM riot, just got their AR-15 back. 5 years later, they got their personal belongings. That is absolutely absurd. That should not be the case in this country. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. They said, we defended our home. We were persecuted by the left. We were smeared by the press and threatened with death, but we never backed down. This is what courage in the face of tyranny looks like. This should not have taken more than 5 days to clear up. Why did it take 5 years to return their property? That's not acceptable. That's not okay. I mean, what do you do when the people around you aren't going to protect you? You have to protect yourself, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point of what this country is. And we've offloaded so much of our responsibility to others. And sometimes you need to recalibrate all of it. What is the point? What are you aiming at? What is the goal? Yeah, if you're in a place that's going to treat you like that for just defending yourself and making sure nothing bad happened to you in your place, it doesn't seem like a great place to set down roots, you know? Hello, S.A. Cardinal. America should never be like California. Well, I'll tell you what, I would say if America had the weather of California, where, I mean, it's just 65 to 75, 65 to 80, 70 to 80 all year round, 10 out of the 12 months out of the year. And it gets a little hot, then it gets a little chilly, but it's like, so yeah, maybe America could be like California in that regard. I would actually kind of like that. Everybody in chat, thank you so much for being here. Yes, of course, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, it says you are watching the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. We're in a bunch of places, so if you could please follow the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. We're at the New American Media. 1,400 videos, millions of views on YouTube. Link up with us there. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_, and sub to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. So the Agree to Disagree Show encapsulates all of the TNAM Daily Show content. Also coming up, probably our first episode of the season of Strictly Football, Season 2, with myself, Brian Engelman, and Mike Bear, and probably Jim Mitchell. Stay tuned. That'll be out. We also have the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. We'll be doing more of those, in addition to, of course, the Agree to Disagree Show. We're probably going to do Agree to Disagree mainly as one-on-ones. I think that's how we'll do it. And if we do the Daily Show and bring a guest in, we'll either do a deep dive into the guest, or we'll talk about the news together on the TNAM Daily Show and have a guest with us. So please hit like, please hit subscribe, all of the things. And thank you to everybody who has donated to the cause. You know, every time we click a button to pay Restream for this service, or the electric bill, or the cable company, or the yearly charge for Twitter X, or all of the things, the trips to DC, the trips to Chicago, the trips to the Bronx, the trips to DC again, Milwaukee, Chicago. Yeah, all of the stuff. Thank you to all of you who have supported the New American Media. We're nothing without you, and your continued support is super appreciated and necessary in these times and in all times. But we are on Patreon. If anyone wants to sign up, we have different, like $5 a creation, or it's like $5 a month or something like that. And then it's like $15 a month, $100 a month, $1,000 a month. So if anyone likes what we're doing and wants to see us do more of it, and make sure that we are going to be able to keep delivering you this awesome content, thank you to everyone on Patreon. Also, we have a tip jar. Just like if you're out at a bar and you had a good time hanging out with your bartender, if you want to throw something in the tip jar, we have Venmo, Cash App at Brian Engelman. That's my name, BrianEngelman. And PayPal, our email is fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. All right, now. So the McCloskeys, 5 years later, because their blue city let their city burn. They had to defend themselves. They finally got their property back 5 years later. All right, here's another big city story, Cincinnati, that should just really, I mean, Benny Johnson shared thank you to Fox News for being one of the only major outlets to cover Holly's story in the latest statement, while most of legacy media is ignoring it. Nothing matters more than getting the truth out, not just for justice in Holly's case, but to make sure something like this never happens again. Cincinnati beatdown victim reveals very bad brain trauma in first remarks since viral assault. 4 of the 6 alleged assailants were arrested as police reveal only one witness called authorities. Only one witness. She said it's been very, very hard and she's still recovering. Shame on those people. If you can find footage, because I thought I saw a little bit of footage that I couldn't seem to relocate. I don't know who started what. I don't know the entirety of things. But when someone is retreating and they're not a threat, you don't get to really pursue that. That's one of the main tenets of self-defense. It's tough defending your property to make sure you know if someone's kidnapping, a family member, you can do anything to retrieve your family member if they're in the midst of being taken. But property gets a little different. But I don't know. The video I saw, the main victim guy was retreating and trying to get out of there, and he was jumped from the other side. So if someone's on the retreat and they're just barking, I don't think you get a right to just start getting stabby or punchy, especially as they're walking in the other direction. It's like, all right, doggy, you gonna bark or are you gonna bite? Wasn't there something like that in Reservoir Dogs? But regardless of who was in that fight, that girl, unless there's something that I was unaware of, that girl got cold cocked, knocked out, severe brain trauma. And imagine waking up in a coma to find out that you're front page news everywhere. Like, she didn't ask for that. She didn't deserve that. That is bullshit no matter how you break it down. And that there's no presence in that area of the downtown. There's no police presence where all of the people are inebriated and it's 3 a.m. Just to kind of, all right, keep it moving. Like street bouncers. You're telling me there's none of that? Well, then you're not running your city properly. So there's a lot you can learn from that story. And part of it is go to where you want to be. Or get out of the place you don't want to be. There's a good question of the day. Can I distill the conversation properly here? I knew that was going to happen. Is it better to be in the place you want to be, or to be out of the place you don't want to be? Because they say fear is one of the greatest political motivating factors. So if you're afraid of something, that initiates, and that's why Obama did what he did. I'm not saying I dislike Obama because he was ineffective. No, I dislike because that's radioactive. You're trying to gin up an artificial race war across the country. There's nothing more despicable than that. Dude, I think the people that grew up in as a Zennial, Gen X, Millennial, I think there was something about that era that, at least for a while, and you had occasional flashpoint stories here and there. Occasional flashpoint stories. But for the most part, it was just judge a person by the content of their character. And then, I don't know if it was during Bush. It's definitely Obama, just sometime in the 2000s. they employed the most radioactive strategy possible just to get power and control and to ram some things through. And yeah, they did it. And yeah, it was successful short term. It's not going to be successful long term. And in fact, long term, you getting so much of what you wanted so we could see just how bad it would get if we didn't step back in and fix things, it activated something in us that needed to be activated. So in a way, thank you. In a certain way, thank you. All right, let's take a look into Manhattan. This is Grand Central Station. Now, what are they saying? Zoran calls to dismantle NYPD and his pro-Hamas supporters attack NYPD. What is this here? I don't understand the context of this entirely, so let's break down what we're seeing. We got a line of police officers. Now he's being pushed to the inside perimeter. So now he's been taken in and arrested. It's about damn time we started doing this. There's been no accountability in the streets. Now, I say this. I've been in D.C. Through the streets at night. I've been through Chicago through the streets at night. I've been through Milwaukee through the streets at night. And this year, or at least last year in Chicago, about a year ago, it was a lot of pro-Hamas. It was a lot. No, it wasn't pro-Hamas. It was pro-Palestine. Okay. It was a lot of that. And the police presence was massive. And there were a lot of organized efforts to overwhelm fencing, to crash gates, to go here to there, and a lot of funneling done on the street level, and horses and vehicles and pre-positioning and helicopters, and just to be out and about in such a weird dynamic it's something I'll never forget. You know, they say the rule of threes: don't go stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things. Now, I always kind of feel like being in those places sort of are stupid places, but also, okay, where are things happening? Where is the news? I have no problem doing this show. I love being in front of the lens. I love being in the studio and reaching out to correspondents for segments and whatnot. But yeah, when you see a repetition of tactics and you see the same cast of characters that are like the instigators, you go get those people. You swarm them, you push them into the group, they're pushed back. Now that person's arrested, and you move on. I'm not saying beat that person up. I'm not saying plant anything on that person. But you know what? If you're going to catch a disorder, you should get something on your record and go, all right, we've all been excited and excitable at times in our lives. You didn't do anything unforgivable. But this is an escalation toward an area that we're not going to tolerate. If you come in here having been arrested once before for this and getting a warning and deciding to come back again, there will be a mandatory minimum penalty. So if that's the person you want to be, have at it. I'm just looking for a justice system that makes a little bit of sense. But the professional agitators, they know what they're doing. They're playing you if you're not playing them. David says California is such a beautiful place. So sad. I know. I lived in Los Angeles for a while. I sort of loved it. I also sort of really wanted to get out of there. It was a hard dynamic. Lake Leon says they all have their phones out recording. FAFO. Well, yeah, I mean, look, John Boy, Lake Leon. Yeah, I mean, look, when you're out in the streets and when you're at the events, like, and these are events, you know, they're protests and they're yeah, they're video recorded, and then the content is shopped and sold, and people are doing things for publicity, and people are just covering the news, and people are being played for fools. You know, I feel like we give some of these protests too much energy, but they're trying to create the content that'll get their base fired up. Maybe someone will look at this video and go, heck yeah, it's about time. This is how you deal with the most aggressive people in these crowds. You arrest them and you warn them, if you come back and do this again, you have an automatic jail sentence, and you just work them through the pattern. But I've never understood why you let the mob run amok, because anyone worth their salt in any department should have a plan to deal with aggressive mobs. You form the line and you peel the people in that need to get arrested. In the absence of 90% of the people are kind of just standing around looking for a reason to go. You got like 1% that are the active agitators. 5% that like dip a toe in, or, you know, they kind of, let me. But as I watch this video, not knowing the full context here, is Zoran is called to dismantle the NYPD, but now you're having pro-Hamas supporters attacking NYPD. They'll probably say pro-Palestine. I would like for Bobby Kennedy, this is my official call. Can someone chop this up into a segment and put it out as a short and tag me? This one goes out to our TNAM meme team. Someone clip grab this. I know that needs to be me, but I don't. My call to Bobby Kennedy. Where are we at? My plea for Bobby Kennedy as part of the nationwide health and fitness leveling up program. I know you've been working with Health and Human Services to bring back, what was it called? The presidential fitness test or something. Can we make it mandatory for people working in security, get some basic level training of jujitsu, some of the grappling arts, so that they could effectively, efficiently bring people to a submission pose where when you get flailing, and then there's potential to reach for weapons and all sorts of. I've been calling for this for a long time. Bobby Kennedy, could you please maybe work with Joe Rogan to see if there's a way to partner up nationwide? Maybe Rogan and MMA and Dana White could help. Okay, that's the idea then. Dana White, Bobby Kennedy, Joe Rogan, myself. I want to call for mandatory grappling training for all police officers in America, with proper grappling technique being trained and taught, at least at a basic minimum proficiency. It's my assertion that we'll probably see less injury to the perpetrator, the arrestee, the person being arrested, and less injury to the police officer. There would probably be less opportunity for a discharge of a police weapon accidentally or taken from them in a scuffle or struggle, when you're flailing around and nobody really has control of the situation, and they're starting to like panic and get desperate, and your sidearm is right there on your. I just feel like there's too much dancing and not enough tackling. I played defensive end, and I don't know how to coach what I learned and all the techniques that I've been taught, and what I figured out is effective. But you know, there's techniques that can be used to get somebody down and get them subdued, get them lassoed up, call it a day. And in fact, that was the George Floyd. There's a lot of takeaways from that story, but one of them is, once you have somebody down, if you can get them down, is there something you can do to bind the hands and bind the feet and just stay out of the way? Just there's some sort of scenario. You don't need to continue a restraint maneuver that long. And I don't know if we've made progress as a nation, but Bobby Kennedy, please. Nationwide grappling training. So I just see this person back and then just they're flailing around, and you can have much worse injuries and incidental this, and better grappling technique would probably help these. But they're doing it. They got the secondary line, and they're grabbing them one by one. That is the way you do it. I wonder if that'll get a copyright strike because they're banging the drum. Curtis Lua for New York City Mayor. Time to restore sanity and unity, the common sense choice. Jacqueline for NYC. Calls mayoral candidate Zoran an Islamist with radical rhetoric toward NYPD that endangers NYPD. Zoran himself has physically endangered law enforcement when he got in ICE agent's grill. There you go. So this is happening on our streets. I guess Sydney Sweeney is showing off her skills at the shooting range. Will she be in... I watched this video a couple times, but I didn't have the proper verification that it was actually her. But here's Sydney Sweeney. I mean, she's in a jeans commercial, and she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go to the weapons range." I don't know if she's training for a particular role or if this is something she likes to do, but bravo to her. All right. Yeah, the knee on the necks. Yeah, the optics were absolutely awful. And then there were 20 or 30, I forget the number, but there were a lot of Minnesota law enforcement people who passed the academy, whatever it was. And they said, we were taught that, to put the knee on the back, the shoulders, the upper neck, the back, the spine, where the angel wings are, like that general area to keep somebody down. That's like the pressure point to keep someone down. Because it was like, it's part of the trial. They're like, oh no, that was never taught to people. We would never, that's so dangerous. And then they're like, no, that's literally exactly what you taught us. So regardless, I want to take instances like that and level up. I want better restraint systems. Just hook the hands, hook the feet, however you can, wrap them around a car tire. Just hang tight. If this is getting too much, yeah, you just don't want to see it. You don't want to see any of the bad stuff happen. And you just want to get better. You want to get better every chance that you have to review tactics, review protocol. I mean, geez, they had that guy. He was handcuffed and peacefully placed in the back of that squad car, but the other cop car door was open on the other side, and that was when George Floyd got out. If that door was closed, that gentleman would have been taken for processing. There was no intent for anything other than that interaction to end right there. I have no reason to believe anything else. How did it get to that? Well, you put somebody in a cop car with having the other door open. That was a huge tactical mistake that led to this whole situation. All right. Sydney Sweeney showing off her skills.
Wow. 9:21. Oh my God, girl. Was your first time? That was really good.
You're going dog nuts. I mean,
Ready, girl.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think she's going in between. There was like that barrier in between. They said that was her first time doing that. I don't think that was her first time. But hey, she's making a move. We got I don't know. Sydney Sweeney, isn't she a registered Republican in Florida? Someone said. Sydney Sweeney, Republican. Gun range enthusiast. Jeans wearer. And she's like a MAGA model now. Let's see. We haven't seen the last of Sydney Sweeney. All right, Eric Daughtry here tells us it's just been revealed that Senate Democrats wanted $1 billion in exchange for confirming Trump's nominees. Trump said no. Now Senator Mullen says they plan to change the rules to fast track his nominees in September.
We're wrapping up a long push here. It's late Saturday night, and the whole fight's been trying to break this filibuster that Chuck Schumer has insisted. And what it's all about is President Trump's nominees, getting them in place. And every president has the right to put their cabinet together and to put their people in place to run agencies, run certain departments, or their ambassadors. The problem we have here is President Trump's the first president in history that has not had any of his civilian nominees go through by voice vote or unanimous consent. Most time what happens is there's a huge package put together. For instance, 98% of George Bush 41 was put through in one package or either by voice vote or unanimous consent. Bill Clinton, same thing. Obama, same thing. Large group of them gone through. And what you see here with Donald Trump, we're wrapping up a long push here. It's late Saturday night. Their hatred towards Donald Trump is just completely polarized our ability to put these people in place. Now, at the same time, we've, I think, completed 136 nominees. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. And this time in 2017, we'd only completed 55. So we're way.
For someone that regularly covers Capitol Hill to grab interviews, it'd be great to have like lozenges to hand out. They wouldn't be able to take them, but it'd be a good idea to have them.
Ahead, but they still filibustered every single one of them. So President Trump started trying to negotiate with Chuck Schumer, trying to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We'll make a deal with you guys. Just let my noms, especially the non-controversial ones. I mean, these nominees that no one even knows what they do, but I mean, we know what they do with American public.
But it's the administration that gets to pick all of them. Let them just put their pieces in place. Like, what is the worst that we're filtering out? I don't know.
It doesn't know what to do, but these non-controversial noms, let them be pushed through. Let them go on. And what do you need? What's the price for it? They wanted over $1 billion. $1 billion for.
Senator crying Chuck Schumer demanding $1 billion in order to approve a small number of our highly qualified nominees who should right now be helping to run our country. This demand is egregious and unprecedented and would be embarrassing to the Republican Party if it were accepted. It is political extortion by any other name. Tell Schumer, who is under tremendous political pressure from within his own party, the radical left lunatics, to go to hell. To go to hell. Do not accept the offer. Go home and explain to your constituents what bad people the Democrats are and what a great job the Republicans are doing and have done for our country. Have a great recess and make America great again.
For special pet programs. That's unheard of. And President Trump told him to go pound sand. Their hatred towards Donald Trump is just sand. He said, we're not doing it. Go pound sand. After 3 days of negotiating, I mean, I'm talking about tough negotiations. Finally, President Trump said, go pound sand, forget it. Senate, go home. Let's regroup. When we come back, we're going to change the rules. So what we're doing right now is, even though we're not going to be voting for the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at changing the Senate rules, because if Thune is right, which he said this beginning, we can do it the hard way or the easy way. They're insisting, Chuck Schumer is insisting us doing it the hard way. Then the only option we have is to change the Senate rules to break the logjam to move on through. So unfortunately, this is where we're at, and I guess we're living to fight another day. But God bless you all. Thanks for letting me be here in this fight. Hopefully I'll see you back in Oklahoma. And he said,
there you go. I mean, you're trying to block a president's agenda. Yeah, inaction. It's what's happening down in Texas. Democrats aren't getting their way, so they're trying to drag out the process. We'll make it last as long as possible. It's like, we got a job to do. Like, let's get to work. We're getting to work. Come on. Get on board or get out of the way. All right. Talk about get on board or get out of the way. What would you do if this was you walking your dog? Here's TNAM preparedness. Oh my gosh. Man walking his dog captures the moment tsunami waves reach Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. Look at this. What did you do? Wave.
Волны цунами.
Oh my God. Water is really powerful. The dogs are all the way back there. There it goes.
Ё-моё.
Oh my God. Get out of there, dogs. The most. It's like worse than there with corn dog. He's just leaving his dog. His dog.
Бочку смыло с мотором и с лодкой моей.
How prepared are you for inclement weather?
Все.
You're just supposed to run. The other
Не думал, что...
Ah, God. That got way too close. Where's the dog? Where's the dog? I don't know. I found that terrifying, and I just TNAM preparedness. I want everyone to be prepared. All right. Who is the most influential president of the 21st century? Well, let's take a listen to this report.
I think the theme of this segment is going to be love it, like it, lump it. Trump's remaking the United States of America. We can start there with tariffs. What are we talking about? No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, 18%. It is the highest, Omar, the highest since the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. As I'm going to talk about in this segment, I can't think of a more influential president during this century, and it starts here with tariffs. He said he was going to raise tariffs, and despite the claims otherwise, he is in fact doing that. The effective tariff rate at this point looks to be 9 times as high as it was last year, the highest since the 1930s in FDR, Omar.
Highest tariff rate since 1930s. We need to get back to 1912 before everything went haywire in 1913. Federal Reserve, ADL, income tax, everything changed. Not for the better. All at once. Woodrow Wilson, 1913. You go back to that year to see where a lot of things went off track. Yeah, you didn't used to have people shaking your ankles and taking as much as they can from you. It was just like, yeah, you had tariffs and you had limited government. You just did your thing as a nation. Now it's like you're a debt slave on an open... You're on like a free range farm as a debt slave. This isn't the way. Time to reimagine all of this.
And the effective tariff rate is up from 2% last year for those that might see the banner there. Tariffs, though, aren't the only way Trump's remaking policy in America, right?
It is not the only way that Trump is remaking America. What are we talking about? Well, let's jump. The other big thing that Trump ran on, right, was immigration. How about net migration in the United States? Get this, it's down. It's going to be down at least 60%. We may be dealing with, get this, negative net migration to the United States in 2025. That would be the first time there is negative net migration in this country in at least 50 years. We're talking about down from 2.8 million in 2024.
To be fair, after the previous administration being run by Obama and his ilk, Biden was just a figurehead eating ice cream. He didn't know what was happening. He was just like, yeah, I can run against Trump. I can beat him too. I can beat him too. You get to, the thing. You can do whatever you want. Just do it. Run it. Come on, man. So when you're comparing numbers to where they were during the absolute peak insanity of nonstop invasion of the country, the illegal alien invasion, migration, the coordinated plan to repopulate Earth with, we don't know who or from where, what purpose they have, what intentions, what beliefs. We're an established nation with a Bill of Rights and liberties from what governments cannot do to us. And if people have incompatible thoughts and ideals, they're not welcome to become a citizen here. Because we have like an operating system protocol and not everything meshes. So if you're comparing the drop from that, okay, it's going to look crazy. I'd like to see from like 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 16 years ago, 20. I'd like to see it in 4-year increments. I wonder if we could make a graphic like that. That'd be very helpful to just sort of, by administration, just checking in every 4 years. What was it looking like? Yeah, so the first net migration loss in 50 years. That's wild.
So Donald Trump has always.
But it has to. You flooded the house. You need to take the buckets out. You need to remove the debris. A whole bunch of stuff washed in with that water that's not good. You got to clear that out.
He's run on tariffs and he's run on a hawkish line on immigration. And on both of those issues, we are seeing record high tariff rates for this century going all the way back, well back into the early part of the 20th century. And when it comes to immigration, net migration, we are seeing record low levels, way down from where we were during the Biden administration. We are potentially looking at negative net migration for the first time in at least 50 years. And that is a big reason why that I'm saying that Trump, at least in my mind, is the most influential president, certainly this century, and probably dating a good back chunk into the 20th century as well, Omar.
So when you say most influential, I mean, statistically, how much is Trump doing?
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. How about executive orders? Already, 180 executive orders signed by Donald Trump this year. You have to go all the way back to the FDR administration once again to find a year in which there were as many executive orders signed as we have this year. To give you an idea, Biden during his first year signed 77. That's the entire year. We're only a little bit more than halfway through this year, Omar. Again, this is why I'm saying executive orders, immigration with net migration, and we're talking about tariffs and the effective tariff rate. Donald Trump is remaking the United States. Love it, like it, or lump it. He has been tremendously influential to a historic degree, Omar. And I think
there's been a lot of work done in the amount of time that they've had. And that is why one of their main strategies is just slow him down. I've never seen an administration work this efficiently, effectively, this quickly. I don't know how much it's going to make a difference to get all those people approved with what would they say 139 different positions need to get the position approved. But yeah, I mean, it's all systems go. We got one chance. We are running. We have the 10-yard marker. Think of the 10-yard marker on a football field. It started off the Overton window, 10 yards from the 45 to the 45. The leftists have dragged it left, so far left, it's been down pretty much at the 1-yard line. But think of it like a 10-yard sled. You put it on your shoulders, and it's a chain, and you move forward, and you can pull the sled. The sled is 10 yards. It gives you a marker. At the end of it, that's the end of 10 yards. Here's the front marker, back marker, 10 yards. That's the Overton window. The Overton window is the area of allowable speech in a nation. Glenn Beck wrote a book about that, worth the read. The sled is on, and it's all systems go. 2-yard line, 3-yard line, 4-yard line, 5-yard line, 6-yard line. Whoop, 5-yard line, 4-yard line. Nope. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Dragging political philosophy. Whoop, that's a 10-yard pass. Move it up to the 15. Whoop, that's a 20-yard run. Move it up to the 40. Go. Move society back to where dudes aren't competing against women in swimming. They're not punching each other in an MMA match or a boxing match at the Olympics. Is this really debatable? It's not debatable. It's almost like I'm living in a cuckoo clock. Like, are you messing with me, kid? Paraphrase Bad Santa. People try to send us back, talking about our migration. What's up, Kenneth? People try to send us back. All right, is this Josh Hawley here? Congress has voted to ban stock trading. The Pelosi Act sparks a meltdown on the Senate floor. Here's everything you need to know. Senate Homeland Security Committee holds a business meeting on pending legislation. Brendan Schlagbaum, CPA, says, for context, Senator Josh Hawley just pushed a bill to ban Congress from holding or trading certain investments, individual stocks, and related financial instruments. The idea is to prevent insider trading. And he lays it all out here.
Let me just say that we have an opportunity here today to do something that the public has wanted us to do for decades, and that is to ban members of Congress from profiting on information that, frankly, only members of Congress have in the buying and selling of stock. 86% of Americans say that members of Congress should not be able to buy and sell shares of stock, individual stock, while they are members of this body, and they are absolutely correct. And the reason is, you can see it, there was just another ethics referral in the House last week. We've seen the former Speaker of the House make millions of dollars in profits. We've seen members of both parties, I'm sad to say, be investigated for their stock trades. And the reason for all of this is that, quite frankly, members of this body are privy to information that the normal person just is not. Now, is that insider trading? It is not under the laws.
Right.
Sometimes people say, well, we already have insider trading laws. We don't need a stock ban. Well, the information that members of Congress are privy to is technically not covered by the insider trading laws, but nobody really believes that the information that we get isn't valuable. It is quite valuable, which is why back during COVID, you saw members of Congress of both parties engage in a flurry of stock trading right after they were getting COVID briefings. Were members of the public getting those briefings? They were not. Were members of the public privy to the kind of information that was being given to members of Congress? No, they were not. Let me just say that we have an opportunity here today.
So there you have it. Basically, Congress gets information the public doesn't. Looking at their stock returns, average investor returns are 4%, average market returns are 10%. Pelosi's husband, 62%, 12 senators during COVID, 96%. It's weird how they keep getting lucky. I don't know if those numbers are entirely accurate, but it says the Pelosi Act would prevent members from buying individual stocks. It would not apply to assets held in a blind trust. It would allow for 180 days to sell, and it would require yearly audits to review compliance. 86% of Americans support the idea, but Congress isn't so willing. Why? 44% own individual stocks. Average portfolio is $500,000 to $1 million. The majority got rich after the election. They're voting on their own ATM. And Senator Rick Scott had the most outspoken defense.
I don't know when in this country it became a negative to make money. But somehow, if you've made money, you're supposedly, I think Senator Hawley suggests, you shouldn't be serving because you might trade stocks. Now, I came up here, I made money. I started out never knowing my dad, living in public housing. I lived the dream that many of us wanted to live, not be broke. I went to junior college, joined the Navy. I didn't go to some elite university. I went to the cheapest place I could find, and I went and built businesses. But somehow now, if you've made money, somehow it's negative up here. I did what Senator Johnson did. When I became governor of Florida, I sold my operating businesses. I did a blind trust while I was governor. I never saw what was in the blind trust. I never traded one thing that was in the blind trust. Somebody else did it. Now in this job, I don't trade stocks. I don't own operating businesses. But somehow It's suspect because I made money. I don't know how many people in the audience, how many of you don't want to make money? Anybody want to be poor? I don't. So this idea that we're going to attack people because they make money is wrong, is absolutely wrong. We should cherish all of our different backgrounds. Every one of us has a different background. I've got a business background, but what I was just accused of is making money, and somehow I can't be fair and do things the right way. So I think it's disgusting what is going on here. I don't know when in this country it became a negative.
So, look, it sort of has it set up now as a system where that's money that they just factor into part of their portfolio, part of my benefits package of being in Congress. Does that make any sense? If they want to invest, then should there be some sort of public investment that mirrors that? I know they have like a Pelosi stock trader and a few things like that, but where do you stand on the investments? They do have insider information, but like how? I'm open to a lot of thoughts on that. It doesn't seem like it makes any sense. You should definitely not allow that. You put Martha Stewart in prison for something. What are you doing? And you're letting all of Congress make millions of dollars? Give me a break. Brennan says, newsflash for Senator Scott. Nobody said making money is bad. Cheating is bad. The only thing that's disgusting is getting rich on inside information. Rick Scott, what a net worth of $554 million. Bottom line, the people who make the rules break the rules. They'll keep doing it until something changes. And this bill isn't about the left or right. It's about right or wrong. Should Congress trade stocks or should everyone else play by the same rules? What is this? Budget Dog was the account here. Budget Dog. All right. This is the moment. Oh, I can't. Doggone it. There's music. This is the moment. Smith Radio here says, watch as Mike Ben's cyber discovers in real time the evidence that Trump's would-be assassin, Ryan Ruth, is an asset of the U.S. State Department. He has music. Oh, there you go. Watch his face.
What the fuck?
I can't play the music. He says, WTF. He's looking. The music, I just want to play the video. But he's clicking around here. And it says, Afghan soldier. This is a post from Ryan Ruth in 2023, I think. The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine is working very hard to finance this project and has asked the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense for a detailed plan on how the money will be spent. Vladimir and MOD are working very enthusiastically until we provide the information they need and a reasonable suggestion. Give us a few more weeks and some progress. Ryan Ruth, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, working very hard to finance this project. Asked Ukrainian military of defense a detailed plan of how the money will be spent. Mike Benz is like, in real time, this is Mike Benz Cyber discovering that Ryan Ruth is an asset of the U.S. Senate. I'm sorry, U.S. State Department. The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine is working very hard to finance this project. Look at his eyes. I would. They got music. I just can't play it. He's like, dude, it's sitting right here.
There it is. With the fucking State Department.
He works for the fucking State Department.
Directly.
He says it directly.
Here, it's on fucking Facebook.
It's right here. It's on. Effing
a year ago.
A year ago. I don't know. When are we going to get some What is the final version of the story for the assassination attempts? Do we actually have that yet? I don't know if we do. Just some scrawny kid in Pennsylvania, nothing else to see there. And then Ryan Ruth is what? What's the latest in the discussion? Important question. All right, here's another interesting story here. So this one shows that higher testosterone makes men do something other than the other thing. What do you think about this?
Wow, a shocking new study just came out about testosterone. And this commenter summarizes it saying, higher testosterone makes men do what they believe is right rather than what others believe is right. And if you look closely, it counteracts conformity and deceptive reputation strategies. And this is from the American College of Neuropsychopharmacology. Well, now, we don't talk too much about testosterone on here, specifically the study that came out about what happened in the last 50 years regarding the testosterone decline, because it's disputed. But basically, testosterone levels are off of a cliff right now. And they wonder what the cause is. Is it stress? Is it the artificial lights? Artificial lights do affect it, but I think it's more to do with what's going on in the food, air, and water supply. Testosterone is the most critical, important hormone for men, and it's on the decline. We know that. That's why I'm always talking about boosting your natural endocrine function for women too. Women's hormones are off a cliff as well. It's all affected by the chemicals and the BPA and the phthalates. Well, right now, Chalk is giving away free superfoods. This is the purified shilajit, which is clinically studied to boost total testosterone 21% in 90 days for men. Plus, it's a hormone optimizer for women as well. It's extremely pro-fertile, and it stimulates the production of new brain cells. And right now, Chalk is giving away free...
All right, wasn't getting into the advertisement, but I have watched reports like that in the past. It's interesting, like the war on men and the war on masculinity, and here, eat soy, eat soy, eat soy. Become more effeminate. It just really all feels like it's been part of a plan. Part of a plan the entire time. Kind of strange. I mean, from the fluoride to the soy products. I don't know. There's a good question of the day. Do you think there is something like a war on masculinity, a war on testosterone, a war on that? Do you think there is a war? And that's what we're emerging from? It's never been more obvious that the Republican Party is the party of men and Democrats are the party of women, based on demographic info. But has there been a war on men? I think there has been. A lot of the education system and a lot of media really crafting narratives to just keep hammering away. But, you know, it's the unintended consequences. Ron Paul called it blowback. This is blowback, what you're witnessing now. Blowback. War on? Yes, indeed, there has been. Kenneth flunked his testosterone. All right. Ahmed Y says, hey, in the last 2 weeks, the left has tried to cancel Dunkin' Donuts. What was Dunkin' Donuts about? I don't remember that one. In the last 2 weeks, the left tried to cancel Dunkin', cancel Hulk Hogan, cancel American Eagle, bring back Kamala Harris, praise Jerome Powell as a hero for not lowering rates. Keep it up, DNC. Uh, 19% approval rate for Dems is far too generous. It feels like they're a 19% fringe party. All right, we did share this video first. The scandal that's worse than Watergate.
No,
oh my gosh, a billion times worse than Watergate.
No one has ever tried to remove a major party candidate from the ballot.
Yep, nobody's ever tried to do this, and 25 states did it here. This is Victor Davis Hanson.
25 states tried to remove Donald Trump. No one has ever raided an ex-president's home.
They went so far as to raid the former president's home. That was unimaginable. Everything that's coming back to the deep state, the Democrats, the traitors, they brought all of this on themselves. Sort of all you had to do was none of that stuff. You chose to do that. What did you think was going to happen? Unintended consequences, blowback.
We've never had a president who was impeached twice, tried as a private citizen. No.
Impeached twice and then tried as a private citizen. Every norm was broken. Every breach of protocol, all hands on deck to keep this guy out of the second term that many think he earned in 2020. More information coming out on a daily basis about that.
No ex-president has ever had 93 criminal indictments. Now we know that
93 criminal indictments from Fani Willis and ilk.
Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, Jack Smith coordinated with the White House.
Jack Smith under investigation now.
It was much worse than Watergate.
Oh my God, so much worse than Watergate.
You had the FBI and the CIA and the Director of National Intelligence coordinating with Hillary Clinton.
Uh-huh. They were all in on it together. The entire government was taken over by the crooked Democrats and the Democrat Party, the deep state Democrats. It's why so many things have been going so wrong for so long. It's a big part of the reason. By the way, that's not an endorsement of the Republican Party by any stretch.
To destroy a campaign. No one has.
So yeah, we've never seen anything like it. And I don't want to lose grasp of the fact that we need to keep resetting our minds to remember just how bad things have been, from COVID to 2020 election to the weaponization of the government by Obama and Clinton and the Biden and Harris and the DNC. They've been causing so many problems. And it's just any day now, waiting for the indictments. These people have earned what's coming, but when will they actually have to pay for their crimes? All right. Christian missionaries have been attacked in the Speaker's Corner in the UK by Islamists while the police were doing nothing, says the video. So you got a lot of pushing and shoving out in the streets. It's not just in America. It's happening all over. And a lot of it has to do with illegal invasion disguised as migration. Oh, it's a migration event. It's like, oh, like a rainfall. There's a migration event from time to time. No. It's a coordinated migration strategy, a plot, a political strategy that was never approved and can be undone. All right, here's CIA Director John Ratcliffe talking about Kash Patel. Will he declassify more documents?
Is there more to come from either you or FBI Director Patel? Are there more shoes to drop that we should be looking for?
Yeah, there are, Trey. So, people need to understand that, there is no Russia collusion hoax file cabinet at the FBI or at the CIA. We have to look for these documents, sometimes that are well hidden. You have to go trace through emails and look for signs and clues that would point you to. That's how I found John Brennan's notes, and that's how we found additional documents. I've talked with FBI Director Patel. He and I will be declassifying additional documents that show just how sinister the FBI was in amplifying Hillary Clinton's Steele dossier as real and credible to be included in the intelligence community assessment.
We cannot understate just how criminal this was.
But also in how they buried the counterintelligence referral memo that I mentioned before, how they went to great lengths to try and keep that out of the intelligence community assessment. So there will be more to come, and I think that people should expect that the Trump administration will continue to shed transparency and light and truth, again, because, Trey, there is no question, this was the greatest political scandal of our lifetime. No one wants to see this happen again. It derailed our country. It derailed President Trump's presidency, his first 4 years in office. And it really is a stain on our country that should never happen again. And Donald Trump is committed to making sure that it doesn't.
And it wasn't just like a failed attempt to spin a narrative and keep him from getting elected. And you're like, ah, crap. You kept it going to force multiple impeachments, to then try to frame him for an insurrection by saying peacefully and patriotically, go make your voices heard. This was rigged and we all see it. 90, how many indictments? 93, 97, what was the number? They just kept going. It was a 9-year RICO conspiracy. Anything to get Trump. If they just tried something once and let it go, it's like you could almost, you can't condone it, you can't allow it, but like you go, you know, they did. My God, they kept going and going with it. And there has to be repercussions if we want to survive as a nation. Mila Joy says, hey, what happened to the story about Tim Walz putting out a hit on Senator Amy Klobuchar? Remember that story? I would love to know the latest. Let's ask Grok. How do I do that? Oh, there it goes. Okay. What is the latest? Who, where, when, why for that Amy Klobuchar, Tim Walz hitman story? I don't know if I asked this in a way that Grok is going to understand. Vance Bolter, 57-year-old suspect accused of the shootings. Governor Tim Walz accused off Speaker Emerita, Melissa Hortman, husband Mark, attempted Senator Hoffman, wife Yvette. Story involves claims by Bolter that Walz instructed him to get rid of Klobuchar. Bolter allegedly wrote a rambling, conspiratorial letter to the FBI claiming that Walz ordered him to off Klobuchar to clear a path for Walz to run for her Senate seat. The letter, described as incoherent and hard to read, was found in a Buick abandoned near Bolter's home in Green Isle, Minnesota. Authorities have found no evidence to support these allegations, and they're considered part of Bolter's delusional mindset. June 14 shootings. Politically motivated, motive under investigation. Letter widely dismissed as baseless. I mean, he wrote it. He said, oh, he's unstable mentally. Well, let us determine that. Let us determine that. Don't tell us what it is, what it isn't. I mean, maybe. Okay. Anyway, there's the latest. But the question from Mila Joy said, what's the latest on it? And I'm like, you know what? It got me thinking. I don't know the latest on it. All right. No. Hold on. Thank you. Hey, remember, Natalie Jean Beisner reminds us. The first thing the Nazis did was try to sell everyone jeans. These are dangerous times. When someone asks who really controls the government,
lizard, 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 lizard.
Who really controls the
lizard,
government?
lizard, 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 lizard.
Lizards. Lizard people. What is this one here? Political Insider. Gavin Newsom, he's going to look into the missing $100 million from Fire Aid. You know, that concert, they're supposed to help people who lost everything in the fire, but none of the money went to the people that lost everything in the fire. Gavin's going to look into that right after he finds the $100 billion from the high-speed rail line and the $37 billion from homelessness and the $40 billion for affordable housing. He's going to get right into it. Colorado Democrat Representative Jason Crow on Bill Maher's Real Time. Whoop, volume. Why did it turn?
90% of American counties last November and say everything is going well.
You can't lose 90% of the American counties last November and say that things are going well as a party. They're not for the Democrats. They're the worst, actually. They're just the worst.
Yeah, right? And the key to fixing things and to moving forward is to do that introspection, to do the hard look, which we have to do. I'm a proud Democrat. You know, I grew up in a working class family in the upper Midwest. Most of my family are conservatives. They support Trump in many cases. But and I'm a Democrat because I want a level playing field. But I know things are not going well. Right? Working people can't afford to live in cities where Democrats govern. We have in too many instances not done enough to keep communities safe. There's a lot that we have to do differently. There's no doubt about it. And we have to have that hard look. You can't lose 90% of American counties last November and say everything is going well. You can't, right? And the
I mean, is this now the front runner for the 2028 presidential? Someone that's making sense? That guy's making some sense. You're not protecting the communities. I mean, you got no business being in a leadership role. Washington Times reminds us that white liberals are more likely to have a mental health condition. White liberals have been brainwashed to hate themselves. It's time to break the cycle and reimagine our education/indoctrination systems. That's how I feel. Hey, look back at our border a year ago. Remember this? The invasion of America? Do you remember that? 1 year ago, America being invaded. But look at it now. It's under control. It's got a big, beautiful wall. And all we really needed was a new president. You got every right to keep up. You have every right to put a bouncer in your nightclub. In fact, it's your responsibility. It's your duty. All right, Joe Rogan slams the Democrats. Here you go.
Saying anything's a threat to democracy is wild when they haven't had a primary since 2012.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's really wild.
Wild is one way to say it. It is the height of hypocrisy.
I mean, they kicked Bernie out. They made sure RFK Jr. wasn't in. And then when it came time for Kamala to run, no primary at all. They just put her in position.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, they didn't know what else to do. And
the Democrats saying anything's a threat to democracy is wild.
Pot calling the kettle black. Boston Conservative says the percent of temperature readings above 90 degrees Fahrenheit so far this year in the U.S. is 24th lowest since 1895, and it's down almost 50% from 1936. Would you know? You can get data to say a lot of different things. The Atlantic put this out here. ChatGPT gave instructions for M in self-M-elation and D-worship. No jokes on that one. OpenAI's chatbot also said what it said there. To the dark side. So what's ChatGPT going to turn into? Whatever you want? Or does it have a heartbeat to it? Couldn't even say some of those words. It's so weird how you have to censor what's The words that are spoken, because the algorithms automatically pick up on the words and they will tell you what you can and can't have, and they'll downrank your content if you. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. As far as I'm concerned. You know. The chat bots. That's a good question of the day. Do you use artificial intelligence? Do you use Chat GPT? Do you use Grok? Do you use what else? OpenAI? I don't know which ones there are. I just kind of use Grok because I'm already on X. It's if it's not easy to do, it's convenient at least. All right, so over 50 Texas Democrats fled the state to block the GOP congressional map vote. Attorney General Ken Paxton declares they should be found and arrested no matter where they go, and he vows to use all legal tools to hunt down lawmakers who broke quorum and bring them back to the Capitol. Back to Gavin Newsom.
Everyone across the country needs to understand this. Gavin Newsom is planning to steal 5 Republican House seats next year by holding a special election this year to overturn the California Constitution and illegally grab power and make this state even more gerrymandered in Democrats' favor. Right now, Republicans have 40% of the vote in California, only 17% of the House seats. Gavin Newsom wants another 5. That will give us, for 40% of the vote, only 7% of the House seats in California, because Gavin Newsom wants to show that he is the guy fighting President Trump, winning the House majority for Democrats so they can impeach President Trump. I'm not going to let that happen. So what I will be announcing next week is a plan to stop Gavin Newsom stealing these seats and being able to impeach President Trump by filing legal actions on all the different arguments that we have. And you'll see that from me very clearly next week. We cannot allow Gavin Newsom to get away with it. And by the way, when I'm governor, I will restore the integrity of our system in California so we have fair representation. That would give us an additional 12 Republican House seats in California. That is what fair representation would look like. Everyone.
So that's the battle, redistricting. Will America look more like Texas or more like California? I mean, California is an example of when the goose, when you off the goose that lays the golden eggs. It's not a plan that makes any sense. It's overwhelming the system. That state can't get out of its own way. No place needs to be red or blue per se. It just needs to operate. It needs to function. And we haven't had that for a very long time in California. I can tell you, having been a longtime resident out there, longtime resident, just the basics. And it's a shame because it's heaven on earth. It is just an incredible place. So I guess we all have to become gerrymandering experts, but like I said, I'd be at the top of the show. I said I'd be curious to find out if OpenAI or Grok or ChatGPT or something like, all right, what would be a, I don't want to say fair or equitable because equity is like one of those buzzwords for Marxists. No, but what's wrong with equity? All right, we're not getting into that again, but diversity, equity, inclusion. It sounds so great. Don't you want that? Are you a bad guy? Only bad people are against that. No, all those things are exclusionary, which I am against. So I'm against that. Question of the day. No, not Rat GPT. Lake Leon says he uses Grok. I do as well. What do you use? Lake Leon, you work in like computer drafting and CAD, right? What do you use Grok for? What kind of AI do you use it for? Kenneth does not use AI currently. Nick Adams Show. Click on Nick's channel and watch Nick. Question of the day. I use AI a lot between what do you do on AI? Excuse me. What do you do with AI on Canva? Grok and Luma Labs definitely steps up content quality. So what content has its quality improved? All right. Continuing. Breaking. Gentry Geevers says Trump appointed FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary accused the NIH of funding a lab that brewed up a virus that offed 20 million people. Yeah. I'm going to put an arrest Fauci button. We need justice. And Fauci is as guilty as anybody out there for causing so much chaos over the past. One of the worst things that we've had. Definitely took a lot from me.
Did you guys see how?
Okay. This is a story about opening the world back up. You know, I often say that the NBA, sports coming back. Was it C.J. Stroud and I think LeBron James won the strike shortened year or the COVID shortened season championship. C.J. Stroud for the Buckeyes, but like bringing sports back brought society back. Well, here's a story I've never heard before about Tom Cruise. I'm not sure if this is certain, and I'm not 100% the video I'm watching isn't AI, but if this is true, I'm very intrigued. Take a listen to this.
Tom Cruise conned everyone out of COVID and back in theaters and working. Did you hear about this?
No.
This is crazy. When everything was shutting down and everyone's like scared to do productions during COVID and the pandemic, he called up another studio and he lied.
This is what I really did. I called the studio. I was like, yeah, you guys shooting? He's like, no, we can't. We're all shut down for that. I said, oh, wow. I said, you know, we're shooting our movies. And they're like, what?
He was like, oh, no, we're still filming. No, we're all green lights. We're good to go. So then that studio was like, well, Tom Cruise is filming.
So I called back a week later and I was like, how's it going? They said, oh, yeah, we're shooting our films. I said, because we're coming out next summer.
And then that studio talked to another one. And then he came back to his studio after they started filming. And he went, look, they're filming.
And then I called the studio that I was working with. I said, look, all these guys are making movies. We got to make movies. So, and I just kept everyone working throughout. So they were like, okay, we got to make movies.
He fucking just chess moved everybody back into production.
That's awesome.
He basically reinvigorated cinema during the pandemic by conning people.
It was the mission he chose to accept.
Did you guys see how Tom Cruise conned
the mission he chose to accept? That's pretty awesome. Got to give Tom Cruise credit there. Bravo. That's pretty fantastic. Love everything about that. Because things needed to be open. Careers were absolutely ruined because of it. I was in an industry that wasn't, didn't fare very well for reasons. All right. Danielle D'Souza Gill puts this out. Top basketball coach Bruce Pearl just called out Barack Obama and the left for, quote, dividing us by race, end quote. Well, I'm sorry, more quotes. Rather than uniting us as a country, even by race, he divided us. Everything was black and white. The American people are done with the left's lies and division. I got one. I'll say the Obama doctrine has failed. Button. Goodbye, Obama doctrine. Savannah Hernandez reporting. Where's she at? I've spoken with her at several events in the Bronx and DC and Minneapolis. I don't know. She reports a 42-year-old Somali man abducted and AR'd a 12-year-old who was playing in her backyard in Minnesota. What? This is the Islamic Center that wrote a letter in support of him stating that he is a family man who had to overcome the challenges of a new culture. Oh, God, no. This is why you screen people out. We do not. No. And that center is advocating for people to come into our country and abuse our people. Go after the center. Hell no. Savannah says, pedos not given the death penalty is one of the gravest injustices of our country. I agree. So watch that report. FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alex Wilkins, is pushing back hard against rumors that she's a Mossad agent.
Think this has been tough on him because,
Because remember, we've talked about this, and I've been trying to unpack the accusations of Kash Patel's girlfriend being a Mossad agent. So here she is with Megyn Kelly talking about it.
this is his base too.
I think so. I think that it's hard when you see anyone you love being attacked for something that you're doing. I've encountered it on the smaller scale as I've been a public figure for long enough to see, people try to picket my, family, try and find people online. This is something that people do. Hence, it's funny referring back to the ChatGPT investigation that was held on the site you played. That there aren't any interviews of my friends. Well, there aren't any interviews of my friends because I don't want the internet to attack them. I think it's pretty sensical. But no, he's dedicated to the American people as he always has been. I think that when people get into government, they don't just, snap into something else. People have the same mission that they did on the campaign trail and during the time before they were in government, which is really all I can say on that. But I think that, ultimately, it's been hard to see me come into the line of fire for something he's already dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to see additional Epstein files released?
You know what? If people stop calling me a spy, absolutely.
Yeah, I can understand. For the record, I should ask you, are you a spy for any government?
Definitely not. That is a firm no on that front.
Do you think...
Someone said the eyes tell a different story, and I would tend to agree. I saw long closed eyes, like the subconscious way that we pause and think when we're trying to make sure. When you're telling the truth, I don't know. I mean, I definitely fall into the category of sometimes it does take me a while to craft a thought, but when I'm in stream of consciousness mode, you're just thinking. Yeah, the eyes on that story. I don't know if I believe that's question of the day. Agree or disagree? Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alex Wilkins, is a spy. Agree or disagree? If you had to place a $20 bet and you have to place one side or the other, would you bet that FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alex Wilkins, is a spy? Agree or disagree with that? Agree? Disagree? $20, $20. All right. All right. But I remember that story, and I wanted to circle back to it because I'm like, I don't know. I'll report that I saw it. I don't know if anything's been verified. Well, it's gotten up to Megyn Kelly. They're all talking about it, so we'll keep talking about it. You tell me. If you had to place a bet, Kash Patel's girlfriend is a spy. Agree or disagree? Question of the day. Kenneth agrees. Some. Nick saying disaster relief will not be given to states that boycott Israel. It's big on X right now. Huh. Okay. Kash get his hand caught in the honey jar. I mean, Kenneth says Minnesota, great state ruined by bad politics. Yeah, Kenneth was just up in Minnesota. Patriot Warrior was over in Florida. I think that's where you were, right? A lot of people moving around. Nick talking about Florida to Maine. Nick says Canva has pretty neat video generation. I've used it a lot recently for my shorts and reels. All right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, keep it logged in. When I was doing the run of shows with Blake, he would handle all the graphic design, and he was good at it. I like saying, hey, do something like this. Like I wanted to see the image of the Riddler, the divider in chief, with just a whole bunch of division signs all over his jacket, like the Riddler has question marks. Like Leon doesn't use Grok for drafting, just for playing on Twitter X. Got it. Lake Leon doesn't know enough about her, that particular girl, but I mean, it's not like it can be out of the question. No, of course. Can't put anything past them. All right, go back to that Cincinnati story. Cincinnati police chief, according to the New York Post, under intense scrutiny for mass brawl, was accused by fellow cops of anti-white discrimination using race-based quota system, according to a lawsuit. Not surprised. Here, let me do the not surprised button. Not surprised button. Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, breaking it down with Benny Johnson. What is going to happen with our elections, knowing now what we've been screaming for years?
A comment at a cabinet secretary meeting that has stuck with our audience, and they'd really love an update on it. And it's about the 2020 election. And you were talking about the security of that election, and you were telling President Trump that there has been evidence that has been uncovered of potential breaches. I'm not exactly certain, but I'd love a follow-up on this. Here's the moment right here, and perhaps do you have any updates on the 2020 election or anything that you've found, Director?
The point that I was making there in
the
cabinet meeting was early discovery that I had seen from a whistleblower who came forward.
Sorry, just like that intro. I don't know if she was caught off guard or if I don't know what that stumble out of the gate was.
Who was working under CISA at that time, which is responsible for critical infrastructure and trying to protect against cyber vulnerabilities, critical infrastructure, including, of course, the integrity of our election systems. And what was interesting was seeing how this whistleblower brought forward information that CISA at that time, the federal government, was aware of vulnerabilities in our election machines, but they chose not to disclose that information to the American people or to the administration at that time. This is an area, of course, of critical importance, once again, for the American people to have faith in the integrity of our elections and that it is their voice that is heard through these elections. We're continuing to investigate this, and when we have information that we're ready to release, you'll hear about it.
Okay, so we're going to be hearing more on. Made a comment at a cabinet secretary meeting that has stuck with our audience, and they'd really love.
We said, how quickly can we revamp and secure our nationwide voting systems? We need nationwide standards since every vote impacts the rest of us. But I'm glad they're putting this information out now. Breitbart says RFK Jr. has banned mercury in vaccines after 2-decade-long battle. No more poisoning pregnant women and children. In a detailed video statement, Robert F. Kennedy announced that thimerosal, a mercury-based preservative still found in flu shots given to children and pregnant women, has now been fully banned in the United States. I'm proud to finally deliver on a long overdue promise, protecting our most vulnerable from unnecessary mercury exposure, Kennedy posted on X. All right. I think that's a good thing. I'll do a bravo button. There will be no more poisoning pregnant women and children. Good job, Bobby. Good job. We voted for this. Laura.
So for these people, they cannot have you ask questions of substance.
Talking about how they steer conversation and narratives, essentially the Overton window. You can't ask substantive questions. You can only talk within a predetermined area of nothingness because none of these things survive a good questioning.
Because everything is built on a lie. Climate, all those climate programs, all built on lies. The whole race narrative, all built on lies. Does that mean there's no racism? Does that mean there's no difference? No. But what do? They want to...
Does that mean there's no climate? No, nobody's saying any of that. It's just the way that it's being presented is fraudulent.
Take race, they want to take differences, and they want to create them, turn them into problems which can never ever be solved.
Yeah.
So the color of your skin, you can't change it. Therefore, you can never solve this problem. Unbiased racism, it's unconscious. If you're not conscious of it, you can't fix it. So and if you look in all of these places, they create issues. Like as a man, you're going to have masculine instincts. They now teach you that masculine instinct is evil. It's a problem can never be solved. CO2. We create CO2 as we breathe out. It's critical for life on Earth. You will never, ever, they created a nonsense problem that can also never be solved, because to remove CO2 from the Earth is to kill all life on Earth. So once you start to recognize the tactics, it becomes very, very simple. It's easy. You don't have to be a genius to see the same tactics playing out over and over again. Transgenderism, it's the
This is Laura Logan talking from a Timcast clip, I suppose.
same thing. This is an attack on us as we were created, to break down communication, to isolate us so that we can be controlled. Why do they have to kill the food supply? Because they have to control what we eat. We have to control our movements. And of course they react like this about race, because at the end of the day, people don't really care. But we do gravitate towards our own. We do like to be with people who understand us. When you marry someone, what is the biggest thing that tears people apart? That my wife doesn't get me. She doesn't understand me. Well, you can, if you're overseas and you bump into somebody from, the United States, you might not have talked to that person back home. But when you're there, you have this common shared history.
And that's like when you go to football games in Los Angeles. You'd wear your Cleveland Browns hat, Cleveland Browns jersey. People would come up to you and you go up to people. Hey, where are you? Oh, yeah. It's like wherever you say a place in Ohio, and it's a big place. Oh yeah, my cousin's from her. Oh yeah, I went to school over by. Yeah, I was born over, and you have an instant in
Of being American. And so that brings you together. Well, look all over America. New York, the Chinese gravitated towards each other in Chinatown, in Little Italy. I mean, we instinctively gravitate towards our own. So it's okay to do that. But they've made those things that are natural and instinctive in us, they've made those war crimes.
Well, it's divide and conquer.
So for these...
There you go. Yeah, the Marxist playbook in full effect since the 90s. They're saying here the vaccine numbers are in for COVID. 5 billion took it. Watch the clip. I can't even cover the topic, and you know why. It's because of Google, YouTube. It's because of Meta, Instagram, Facebook, but Marjorie Taylor Greene says, don't talk about it if you aren't going to do it. Here's the number of arrests. Ready? Russia collusion hoax, 0. January 6th, 0. Mar-a-Lago raid, 0. Biden auto pen, 0. 2020 election, 0. Epstein arrests, 0. COVID, 0. Benghazi, 0. Doge findings, 0. Ukraine impeachment hoax, 0. It's a nice segment where a protester, Kate.
What crimes have they committed?
Trump?
Yeah, the ones in the Oval Office. What crimes have those people committed?
You want to look it up on Wikipedia? There's like a list.
Well, you made the sign, so I'm asking you.
It's true. I'm at a protest, though.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything. I'm here for my community.
Okay, so you make a sign about people being criminals, but you don't know what you made it for?
All right, so I make a sign supporting my community and the people in it. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed.
I know. You shouldn't be ashamed of your sign. I'm just asking what crimes they have committed.
I don't have to list them to you. You can simply look it up.
Have you done research? It's all over the media. Yeah, so I was just asking him, he's holding the sign, if he could just tell me what crimes people in the Oval Office have committed. You're holding it, so I thought maybe you could give it to me quickly.
I'm good.
What crimes have they committed?
That's the extent of the really interesting philosophy behind why I'm out today. I'm so outraged because, I don't know. Girls at the Time Machine. I'm your great-great-granddaughter. That's incredible. Boys at the Time Machine. I shall return to 1913 to save America from the tyranny of the 16th Amendment and the Federal Reserve Act. Oh, boy. '16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, grants Congress the power to impose and collect an income tax without apportioning it among the states or basing it on census data. All right, so undo the 16th. There you go. Louis the 16th, undo the 16th. And that is what I wanted to share with you on our Instagram feed today. I bet his mom, dad, same person, is so proud of she, him, it, them. Exactly. I concur. I concur. All right. Let's buzz through what there is on X. Is anything trending? Is anything happening in the last couple of hours since we've been broadcasting? All right. Pinned at the top of our page on X is the link so that you can subscribe to the New American Media on Patreon if that is your sort of thing. Thank you to all who have and all who will in the future. Thanks for sharing the show, Nick. Unpack the news, hop in the live chat. TNAM Daily Show, welcome. And check out Nick's show. A Rasmussen report says, is requiring photo ID to vote a reasonable measure to protect the integrity of elections? All people say 73% yes, it's reasonable. Men 69%, women even more, 76%. How do you not? By more than 3-1 margin, voters continue to favor an election integrity measure that President Donald Trump has openly advocated. All right, so here's the back and forth from Texas.
This is State Representative James Tallarico from Texas. If you're seeing this video, my Democratic colleagues and I have just left our beloved state to break quorum and stop Trump's redistricting power grab. Trump told our Republican colleagues to redraw the political maps here in Texas in the middle of the decade to get him 5 more seats and protect his majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes to guarantee the outcome they want in the 2026 elections. If this power grab succeeds, they will hang on to power with
crazy shapes. Just the phrase crazy shapes. That's a new one. Wait a minute. Where's the...
This is state rep elections. If this power grab succeeds, his majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes.
That might be my favorite quote of the day. Hey, Jamie, can you save this one in the audio bank? Oh, wait, I don't have it, Jamie.
This is state representative in Congress.
Crazy
They're
shape.
turning our districts into crazy shapes. His majority.
They're turning our districts into crazy shapes. And they are crazy shapes, but it's like the standalone quality of this sentence is just superb.
Majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes.
Am I the only one that finds this absolutely hilarious? They're turning our districts into crazy shapes. Oh, no, not crazy shapes.
This is state rep colleagues to redraw the political maps here in Texas in the middle of the decade to get him 5 more seats and protect his majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes to guarantee the outcome they want in the 2026 elections. If this power grab succeeds, they will hang on to power without any accountability from the voters. But Texas Democrats are fighting back. We're leaving the state, breaking quorum, and preventing Republicans from silencing our voices
through crazy shapes
and rigging the next election. We are not fighting for the Democratic Party. We are fighting for the democratic process, and the stakes could not be higher. We have to take a stand. This is state.
So there you go. Greg Abbott's final ultimatum to runaway Democrat lawmakers return by 3 p.m. or face expulsion for felony bribery and dereliction of duty in a fight for fair redistricting. In a seismic display of resolve, oh, there's a lot here. Throwing down the gauntlet for those that went up to Illinois. 3 p.m. August 4th to return to the Capitol or face removal from their seats. Invoking Texas AG Opinion 0382, non-binding, issued in 21, clarifies legislators' intentional quorum breaking may constitute abandonment of office. Question for a court to decide through a quo warranto action, potentially allowing Abbott to fill vacancies under Article 3, Section 13 of the Texas Constitution. And it could be argued that America is at war right now. America's in the middle of how many conflicts at once? How many conflicts at once are we in? And you got the people bouncing out, running away. We'll see how that all shakes out. Yep. Texas Democrat lawmakers boarded private planes yesterday, reportedly paid for by donors. Maybe, maybe not. Add bribery to the list of charges against the Dems. It's being accused. Yeah. Chuck Schumer and the rest are like, give me money or else we're going to disappear and shut down the government. It's like, you know what? Screw you and your bribery. And I don't care if that's business as usual. You fired. So if that's how it works, that's how it's going to work. Spare me the crocodile tears. Lose their membership in the House and face prosecution. So it'll be interesting to watch. All right, you want to talk about potential money laundering? Here's Lee Zeldin's take.
I'll give you one more really quickly. There was $160 million that went to a Canadian electric vehicle bus manufacturer. The Biden administration sent all of the money. Now, you might say, hey, just produce the school bus and then we'll pay you. Or if you need some partial payments along the way, we'll give some money that makes sense. Right. They gave all the money up front. Well, guess what? They just declared bankruptcy. They still haven't provided $95 million worth of school buses to 55 school districts. It's the American taxpayer that gets screwed.
Yeah, this is the
I'll give you one more really quickly. There was $160 million that went to a Canadian electric vehicle bus manufacturer. The Biden administration sent all of the money.
This is the CNN exclusive video of Roger Stone being arrested by the FBI this morning. These are FBI agents. You can see them in protective gear approaching in the cover of darkness Roger Stone's door. That is Roger Stone that you can see through the door as the agents pounded on his door and said, FBI warrant.
Is CNN breaking news.
We do have breaking news. This is the CNN exclusive video of Roger Stone being arrested by the FBI this morning. These are FBI agents. You can see them in protective gear approaching in the cover of darkness Roger Stone's door. That is Roger Stone that you can see through the door as the agents pounded on his door and said, FBI warrant.
Clinton used an email system outside the U.S. government for official business while she was Secretary of State.
At the same time, everybody else learned it through news reports.
Were you disappointed?
Let me just say that Hillary Clinton is and has been an outstanding public servant. She was a great Secretary of State for me. The policy of my administration is to encourage transparency, and that's why my emails, the BlackBerry that I carry around, all those records are available and archived. And I'm glad that Hillary is instructed that those emails that had to do with official business need to be disclosed.
Well, you say that you have the most transparent administration ever. You said it again just a couple of weeks ago.
It's true.
How does this square with that?
Well, I think that the fact that she's going to be putting them forward will allow us to make sure that people have the information they need.
There is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals.
Yeah.
And why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word. So what?
I'm Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., your HHS Secretary. I'm happy to report that last week we closed the final chapter in the long history of thimerosal in the United States. Thimerosal, of course, is a mercury-based vaccine preservative. Its main component, ethyl mercury, is a known and very potent neurotoxin. Until we withdrew the recommendation last week, flu shots containing thimerosal, astonishingly, were still being administered to millions of Americans, including pregnant women and children. Now, I've taken a lot of flack from the vaccine industry and from its allies in the press about my decision to ban it. So I want to talk a little bit about my reasons. In early 2001, the director of the FDA Office of Vaccine Research and Review, late William Egan, admitted under oath before Congress that thimerosal safety had never been studied in human beings. Further, CDC has no existing guidelines for safe exposures to ethyl mercury. It is therefore inexcusable that these agencies allowed neurotoxic mercury to be injected into Americans for so long. A quick search of the National Library of Medicine's PubMed and PubChem websites, that's thousands of studies on search terms such as mercury neurotoxicity, mercury in development, and mercury in the brain. Hundreds of them identify thimerosal as a potent neurotoxin, a carcinogen, a mutagen, and an endocrine disruptor. But let's put all that peer-reviewed science aside and just look at what the government itself and the vaccine industry say about thimerosal. Thimerosol's own label advises against its use during pregnancy, pointing out that thimerosal has never been shown to be safe and that it causes mutations in mammals. Thimerosol's material safety data sheet acknowledges that thimerosal is toxic, that it has nervous system and reproductive effects, that it's mutagenic in mammalian cells, that exposure to mercury and thimerosal in utero and in children could cause mild to severe mental retardation and mild to severe motor coordination impairment. The MSDS also lists a grim inventory of dozens of other devastating injuries from thimerosal exposure. In 2001, the National...
All right, you get it. It's an 8.5-minute video, but in the past 24 hours, HHS Secretary RFK Jr. suspended a Biden-era program that financially rewarded hospitals for vaccinating their staff. Thank you. Having been close to people in the medical industry, the pressure to force that on people is not okay. Military as well. HHS banned a mercury-based substance from vaccines. RFK Jr. was such an important pick by President Trump. Go Maha is the post. Texas, Jasmine Crockett says the new Texas House map will wipe her off. It'll wipe her district off the map. Can you believe it? So yeah, fleeing Democrats can avoid bribery charges by not breaking quorum. So he's going to remove from office any Democrat who's not showing up by 3 p.m. That's what, 2 hours from now? So it's 1 p.m. Central Time. We'll see. We'll follow that story. We'll give you an update tomorrow. Lake Leon says Abbott ain't gonna do squat. We'll see. He sort of painted himself into a corner. Town hall here. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, this truancy ends now. The derelict Democrat House members must return to Texas and be in attendance when the House reconvenes at 3 p.m. Monday. For any member who fails to do so, I will invoke Texas Attorney General Opinion KPO 382 to remove the missing Democrats from membership in the Texas House. Go figure. So I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow. And that's where we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in to the program. At the bottom of the screen are the places you can support the New American Media on Patreon at the New American Media. Tip jar is Venmo Cash App at BrianEngelman. PayPal email is fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. Also here, remember that you link up with us on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. Sign up for our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. That's all the stuff. And we'll be back again tomorrow. Like Leon reminds us, he didn't do anything last time. He said the same thing. Well, thing about Trump, thing about certain leaders is they give everybody a little bit more confidence to lead their way. It's a confidence builder. Sometimes. You know, there's a downhill impact of what President Trump has been able to accomplish on the world. So keep your eyes peeled. link up with us because we share stories on different platforms in between, and you can get our content all of the different places. And then we do our live shows. We've been I'm trying to figure out how long we've been doing our noon shows locked in. Yep, TNAM and spam at noon. No, not spam. Yeah, I love unpacking the news together and trying to make sense of it. And I appreciate all of the regulars hanging out. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace out.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.